Let's compare the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL against the new iPhone 17 Pro Max. Both start at $1,200 here in the States, so honestly, price is totally off the table as an excuse. At this level, neither one should really be cutting corners. And yeah, I know this is kind of like comparing apples to oranges. You're really only choosing based on whether you like Android or iOS, but still, it's fun to see two of the biggest tech giants go head to head. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read a spec sheet to you, anyone can just look that up. As a matter of fact, here's the spec sheet right now, saving you the trouble. This comparison is really just my experience when using both phones. I'll definitely mention specs here and there, but what I really want to talk about is the real world stuff. Which phone actually made my day easier? Which one had those genuinely useful quality of life features? And overall, which one gave me the better experience? Let's start with the big advantages. On the Pixel side, I just found it to be way more smarter than the iPhone in a lot of ways. I mean, remember when Apple announced Apple Intelligence back at WWDC 2024? They hyped up all these amazing AI features, especially a revamped Siri. But a year later, what do we actually have? Mostly just that glow effect around your screen when Siri activates. And even now, using the iPhone 17, I still feel that way. I mean, sometimes it still trips up on basic questions, like these ones. What month was last month?
It's Thursday, September 25th, 2025.
Huh?
What year was last year?
Sorry, I don't understand.
What month was last month?
Last month was August 2025.
What year was last year?
Last year was 2024.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and the Pixel answers it just fine. Plus, if you ask multiple questions in a row, Siri can really only handle one question at a time. What's the weather in my area? What time is it in Alaska? And who's the tallest man on Earth?
It's 7:26 p.m. in Alaska.
Meanwhile, the Pixel answers everything without breaking a sweat. What's the weather in my area? What time is it in Alaska? And who's the tallest man on Earth?
The weather in your area, Chino, California, is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The time in Alaska is 7:35 p.m. The tallest living man is Sultan Kosin from Turkey.
Siri also struggles with integrating into apps. I mean, just making a note, for example, is a hit or miss, especially if it's a complex note like this. Come up with some gift ideas for my dad since his birthday's coming up, and just add it to the Notes app.
I don't see an app for that. You'll need to download one.
Bruh.
Google's Gemini Assistant nails that task every time. Come up with some gift ideas for my dad since his birthday's coming up, and just add it to the Notes app.
I've created a note with some gift ideas for your dad's birthday and added it to the Notes app.
And while both phones have image generation apps, Apple's is Playground, Google's is Pixel Studio, it's still way easier to just ask the assistant to do it on the spot, and here's how each handles it. Generate a picture of a dolphin in the middle of the ocean with a beach ball.
Here are some images of dolphin in the middle of the ocean with a beach ball from the web.
Generate a picture of a dolphin in the middle of the ocean with a beach ball.
Here's your picture of a dolphin in the middle of the ocean with a beach ball.
Yup, turns out Siri still searches for images online. The Pixel had no problem generating it right then and there. And when you get into the real nitty and gritty questions, Siri either brings up web search results, says it doesn't really know, or it just leans heavily on ChatGPT. Okay, so the voice assistant isn't necessarily the best on the iPhone. How about visual recognition? Well, both phones can actually scan the world around you, but again, the iPhone feels a bit behind. On the Pixel, you can just open Gemini Live, tap the video, and start talking to it like a normal person, asking questions about what's in front of you too. It'll even highlight things right on the screen to really specify what it's talking about. I use it all the time when I'm at the grocery store, especially within the spice section when I'm looking for a specific spice. There's so many to choose from, and I just use Gemini to have it highlighted right away. And this isn't just on the Pixel 2, it's on almost every Android phone out there too. And that's not even mentioning that I can share my screen with Gemini to ask questions about what's on my phone. It just feels a lot more practical. Now on the iPhone, you have visual intelligence, which really just feels like Google Lens from 8 years ago. You snap a photo, draw on it, and it searches the web or lets you ask ChatGPT about it. There's no video support whatsoever, no live screen sharing. It only works with pictures or screenshots, and you definitely can't have a seamless back and forth conversation like with Gemini Live. Luckily, you can download Gemini on the iPhone and ditch what Apple's using, but you still won't have that auto highlighting feature, and come on. That's cheating. Okay, so AI might not be the iPhone's strong suit, but there's still a lot of things that I really liked on it that I couldn't do on the Pixel. First up, the lock screen is way more customizable and fun to play around with. You can take any photo and have it turn into this 3D effect that follows your hand movement, with the clock magically behind the subject. It looks futuristic and really incredible. Now the Pixel has a similar cinematic feature, but you can't get the clock to go behind the subject like on the iPhone. Plus, a cool trick on the iPhone, when music's playing and you tap the album art, it takes over the whole screen. For some tracks too, you can even see these cool little animated video loops of the album, kind of like Spotify's Canvas. The Pixel, it can't do that. I also love that you can save multiple home screen and lock screen presets on the iPhone and link them to focus modes. That way you can have a different setup for maybe your work, for when you're home, or when it's bedtime. It just adapts to whatever time it is, where you are, or what apps you're using. Honestly, something like that on the Pixel would be really awesome. And you know what? Notifications on iOS aren't that bad anymore. Sure, Android system is still far better for management, but iOS is stepping it up. It now uses AI to prioritize your most important notifications based on the content inside of them, and it's able to summarize some too. Super handy for busy group chats that are blowing up. I will say, sometimes the summarization isn't that helpful, but for the most part, it works well. On Android, notification organization is not as good. It won't prioritize or summarize messages based on the importance or on the contents of the message. And then there's the control center. Even though the Pixel's quick settings panel got an upgrade with resizable tiles and better customization, I still gotta hand it to Apple here. iOS's control center is just way more flexible. You can resize controls much more freely. Some even have sliders. You can search for them too, which the Pixels don't do, and you can tuck away some in folders. Androids can't quite match all that. I also really like the action button on the iPhone. You can set it to do pretty much anything. I set it to toggle do not disturb mode so I can lock in when I'm working, but you can change it to almost anything. The one thing I don't understand is the camera control button. That one just lets you launch the camera and control certain camera elements using touch controls, such as zooming in, but still, I found it completely useless. Now, when you flip the script, the Pixel 10 also has a bunch of exclusive features that I absolutely love using that the iPhone and pretty much really any other Android out there doesn't have. For example, there's this new feature called Magic Queue. It gives you perfect suggestions right in your conversations or phone calls exactly when you need them. The other day, a friend asked for the address to an event that we were going to. Instead of digging through my calendar, Magic Queue suggested it right away so I could send it with one tap. Same thing when I was calling an airline. It automatically pulled up my flight details from Gmail. Or even when I opened Amazon, it suggested products based on screenshots I'd taken days earlier. It's super smart. Plus, when I edit a photo, the Pixel 10 builds Gemini right into the editor. I can just describe what I want changed. Like, if I want to remove any bystanders in the background, I can just type that out and it'll do it. Or if I want to add clouds to an empty sky, it can do that too. Or even just get really wild with it and have it generate random things in the shot. You don't need to know how to use complex editing tools on the Pixel like you do on the iPhone. And for phone calls, the Pixel 10 is way more powerful. There's voice translate for real-time translation on a call. You have call screen where Google Assistant answers for you to see who's calling and why. On the Pixel 10, it even uses AI to come up with better automated responses that you can choose from. Now, the iPhone has something similar, but you can only send one automated reply. You can't keep the conversation going to say like you want to cancel an appointment. Though I do like that the iPhone's is a custom reply. On the Pixel, you can only choose from pre-written options. Then there are all the other classic features that we've seen in the past on the Pixels, like Direct My Call, which creates tappable menu options when you call a business, or Now Playing, which is pretty genius. It automatically shows you the song that's playing around you on the lock screen. And my personal favorite is Quick Phrases, because it lets you stop alarms or answer calls just by saying stop or answer. It's really these small things that are really helpful and made the Pixel feel so much smarter in my everyday use. Now, outside of the software, none of that really matters if the phone isn't comfortable or durable. How does it really feel in the hand? Is it smooth to use? Will it survive a drop or a splash? Basically, which one of these is going to provide you with less of a headache when using them day to day? Now both phones are almost the same size, weight, and thickness, and sadly, neither of them have a SIM tray in the US anymore. The iPhone is slightly bigger and heavier, but not enough to really notice. They're both giant phones with near 7-inch displays. That said, I personally found the iPhone to be more comfortable to hold. The edges are smoother and less sharp than the Pixels. I also prefer its button layout. You have volume rocker on one side, the power key on the other. That way I don't accidentally hit the wrong one. On the Pixel, they're all on the same side and they honestly feel the same. So it's hard to tell them apart without looking. Again, the only thing I didn't like on the iPhone was that extra camera button. It just felt unnecessary. Durability wise, they each feel really solid, but I have a preference. Both use an aluminum frame and glass back, but the iPhone uses more aluminum, especially around the new camera bar. And that's kind of a problem. I mean, you've probably heard about Scratchgate with the iPhone 17. People are reporting small scratches and chips, especially on the sharp edges of the camera area. Plus, this bright orange new color isn't helping its case either because it really makes those marks noticeable. Luckily, I haven't gotten any damage just yet because I've been using TORRAS' air case, but it still does make me nervous. And one last thing, fingerprint smudges aren't really a problem on either of these phones, and they're both IP68 water resistant, so no worries around water. Now, like I said, to avoid Scratchgate, I use TORRAS' new cases, and even with all the amazing new camera features found in the iPhone 17 and Pixel 10, they don't really mean much when I'm out and I'm trying to vlog or shoot content, but I don't really have anyone to hold the phones. That's why I grabbed TORRAS' new O-Stand Q3 case, who's also sponsoring this video, because I can literally stand it like a tripod with its O-Stand and record content that way. Or I can even just stick it onto any metal surface and just start recording that way too. It's really the perfect case for shooting content on the go without needing something big like a tripod or something of that sort. They've even got cases for both the iPhone 17 and Pixel 10, but on the iPhone, I've been using the O-Stand Q3 Air, and it's been awesome. The design looks super modern and futuristic, but they also have other versions too, like this silicone one, which I've been using on the iPhone 17 Air, and it also feels great too. And of course, every case comes with that classic O-Stand on the back, which is incredible. It rotates a full 360 degrees, so it's basically a pocket-sized tripod. I use it for video calls, watching movies, and especially for vlogging. I can just prop it up on something random like a bush, maybe a bench, or whatever's nearby, and it doesn't really skimp on protection either. The Air model has visible airbag corners that absorb impact if I drop it, and the grippy sides make it easier to hold. On top of that, I also added TORRAS' Auric Armor glass screen protector for extra protection. It comes with this really insane installation kit, which makes it super easy to install the screen protector without any bubbles, and the glass itself feels really premium. It even cuts glare down immensely, giving you less than 0.8% reflectivity, has reinforced edges, and even full 3D curved coverage, which most screen protectors don't have. So if you're looking for a case that's protective, doubles as a pocket tripod, and even a premium screen protector that cuts down glare immensely to make the screen usable even in direct sunlight, then you should get TORRAS' new O-Stand Q3 case paired with the Auric Armor screen protector. It's a killer combo for the iPhone 17. The links are in the description if you want to check them out. Anyway, as far as looks go, it's personal taste here. I prefer the Pixel 10 though, it just looks cleaner and more modern to me. Even with its camera bar, Google uses the whole thing, so it looks intentional. On the iPhone, there's this big awkward space between the flash and the lenses. It feels like an unfinished design. Gotta hand it to Apple though, the two-tone finish does look nice. Now for performance, both phones are super smooth, animations are fluid, apps open fast, and navigating each OS feels seamless. Apple and Google just really know how to optimize their software to make the most out of their chips. Plus, even though benchmarks say that the Tensor G5 isn't as powerful as Apple's A19 Pro, in the real world, the Pixel kept up just fine, especially when doing everyday activities. You only really notice a difference with heavy 3D games or super demanding apps. The iPhone handles intense graphics better, and the Pixel can get a little warm during those heavy workloads. But for normal use and even some demanding tasks, both phones perform fantastically. The iPhone just edges out on the Pixel when you push it to the extreme. Alright, now for the cameras. This is where it gets really interesting because both of these phones have a history of having some of the best cameras in the game. And I can confidently say that no matter what lighting I was in, I can get a great shot with either of these flagships. Both of them have a triple camera setup on the back, a main lens, an ultra-wide, and a telephoto. On the iPhone, all three of them are 48 megapixels, with the telephoto having a 4x optical zoom. Then on the front, it has an 18 megapixel selfie camera with a new feature called Center Stage. More on that in a second. The Pixel 10 Pro XL, on the other hand, has a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 48 megapixel ultra-wide that actually gets a lot wider than the iPhone's, and a 48 megapixel telephoto with a longer 5x optical zoom. And then on the front, you get an incredible 42 megapixel front-facing selfie camera. Like I said, both phones took absolutely phenomenal pictures. Most of my shots came out with fantastic detail, great shadowing, and awesome dynamic range. On the Pixel, I did notice that it would push the contrast a bit more though, but when it came to colors, I did find it to be a bit more natural and true to life. The iPhone, on the other hand, sometimes had a bad habit of pushing the highlights to make the image brighter than it really was, and it would oversaturate colors a bit just to make the photo pop more. Where the iPhone really shined though was with portrait mode. It just does a better job of coloring and brightening the subject so they really stand out from the background. In low light, both of them are also excellent, but there are some slight differences. The Pixel's night sight gives you sharper images with less grain and more accurate colors, though it can sometimes crush the shadows and really overdo the contrast again. The iPhone though is better at evenly lighting up a whole dark scene, and it really does a great job of keeping a night sky looking like a dark night sky instead of just turning it to this weird shade of blue. Now when it comes to zooming, the Pixel is the clear winner. It can zoom way farther at up to 100x compared to the iPhone 17 Pro Max 40x, and it does a much better job of cleaning up those super zoomed in shots with a feature called ProRes Zoom, so they're actually kind of usable sometimes. When it comes to selfies, I had no problem using both. The Pixel does do a better job too with detail. Still, I have to give a nod to the iPhone's new Center Stage feature because it uses a square sensor so you can get a wider field of view, which is perfect for squeezing everyone into a group selfie without needing to awkwardly rotate the phone, so that's pretty useful. For video, they really just take different approaches. I mean, they're both great, but the iPhone is the go-to for creators who want maximum control. You get pro-level videography, features like ProRes RAW, spatial audio, cinematic mode, action mode, and even this new one called dual capture, so you can record with the front and rear cameras at the same time, which is great for vlogging. By the way, Samsung phones have had that feature for a while too. The Pixel 10, on the other hand, is more about ease of use. It doesn't really have all those advanced manual controls, but it does have better AI-powered tricks to make the videos look better, like night sight video and video boost that automatically make your footage pop more. It's perfect for someone who's not really into videography and just wants to point, shoot, and get a great looking video without any fuss. And speaking of making things easier, this is where the Pixel really shines. There's a new feature called Camera Coach that I really love. It literally gives you real-time tips on the screen, like tilt the phone up a bit or step back for a better frame. It even suggests poses sometimes, which is a lifesaver for someone like me who has no idea what to do with my hands. Then there's Auto Best Take for group photos. It analyzes a bunch of frames and makes sure everyone's eyes are open and they're looking their best, blending the best versions of each person into one perfect shot. And when it's time to edit a photo, you've even got Ask Photos, like I said before, where you can just describe what you want changed. You don't really need to know anything about photo editing. So here's the bottom line on the cameras. Both of them are incredible. No argument there. The iPhone wins on video features and portrait mode, but the Pixel is just a lot more practical. It might not have the best hardware specs, but for most people, the AI-powered software just makes it so much easier to take and edit amazing photos or just improve the videos altogether without knowing any technical knowledge. Let's be real, you can have the best camera in the world, but if you don't really know how to use it, your photos just may still look pretty average. Now when it comes to battery, the iPhone was the one that lasted longer than even the Pixel, which actually has a bigger battery capacity. Now both of them will easily get you through a full day of use, but by the time I was going to bed, the iPhone was actually the one that had a little more juice left. The Pixel 10 gave me around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, while the iPhone consistently hit around 6 to 7. I think that's mostly because Apple is just much more stricter than the Pixels about apps running in the background. The trade-off is that for things like uploading large files or downloading something, you often have to keep the app open for it to finish quickly. So you get a better battery life, but at the cost of a little convenience. When it comes to charging, it's a bit faster on the Pixel, but not by a huge margin. The iPhone 17 Pro Max can charge at up to around 40 watts, and the Pixel 10 at 45 watts. Both will get you from 0 to full in around an hour and a half, with the iPhone taking a bit longer. They both also support the new Qi 2 standard for wireless charging, and they also use magnets, so you can use all those cool MagSafe style accessories and docking stations. Props to Google actually for making one of the first Androids to support this as well. Unfortunately, neither phone has reverse wireless charging though, so overall, the charging experience is pretty similar. So after spending plenty of time with both of these phones, I can honestly say it's been a blast using them. They're both seriously powerful flagships with their own strengths and unique perks, but if I had to pick one, I'd honestly lean more towards the Pixel 10 Pro XL, and here's why. The Pixel just felt way smarter in my day-to-day life and actually tried to actively make my life easier than just looking good on paper or a benchmark test. It's one thing to have blazing fast performance and top-tier specs, but it's another to have features that genuinely save you time and effort in the real world. And look, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is no slouch. It's gorgeous, has an incredible camera system, and it's really powerful in all aspects, but I often felt like I was doing extra work for things that the Pixel handled automatically. Things like answering a complex question and integrating within Google Apps, editing a photo with a simple sentence, or bringing up that tedious information found within an email when you really need it the most without lifting a single finger. The Pixel wins where it matters the most for me, in the real world. But hey, that's just my take. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Which phone would you choose and why? I try my best to be as unbiased as possible. Anyway, if you want to keep the comparison going, tap right here to watch my breakdown of the latest softwares from Android 16 versus iOS 26, or check out this new series that I just started where I show off the best tech you'd actually want to buy. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!